This is coming through from the Lal Killa restaurant out in Senton. And it's a seminar, it's a press briefing, and it is being hosted by the South Asia Committee. It's organized by the Union of South African Civil Societies. Brother Salman Khan will be doing a presentation, but also this is with regards to the Flashpoint, with regards to the tensions that have been taking place between India and Pakistan recently. So we are coming to you live from the Lal Killa and handing over to Salman Khan.
Thank you, Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Fasabbi bismi rabbikal alazi, fasabbi bismi rabbikal alazi, fasabbi bismi rabbikal alazi. All the praises to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most magnificent, the merciful, the creator, the perisher, and the protector, whatever between the heaven and the earth. And all the salutation goes to his Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I'm humbled, I'm very privileged to be in the midst of you. Most of you know me, and if you do not know, my name is Salman Khan. I am representing the civil society, Union of the Civil Society, and also a human rights activist in South Africa. All the protocol observed, but still I need to acknowledge the presence of my dear acting High Commissioner of Pakistan, Fawad Amjad, and his deputy and Dr. Hassan Saab, those who make a special arrangement to come here today. You were very busy at the Chancellery, but I make a request and this will honor. So I thank you for arriving here, and rest of his entourage, thank you for being here. We have a very, very special, everybody is very special for me here in this room. But of course, my dear auntie, my friend, my comrade, Ahmed Katrada, the stalwart, one of the most well-known politician in South Africa. He spent many years with Nelson Mandela at the Robben Island. And I met him many, many times. And his niece is blessing us. She was the right-hand person for many years. So Jazakallah auntie for blessing this evening. Husband, Ali Bhai, Assalamu alaikum. Then we have our sister, Fatima Domingo, coming all the way, and thank you being with me for 20 years. Zaid Patel, we have Shahid Chauhan here, we have Kamaruddin here, we have Naeem Patel, then we have Sister Umama, then of course we have many other people are sitting that I cannot see, but everybody is welcome and everybody is, you all are my VIPs from the Citizen newspaper, from the SABC, you are most welcome here. I think the next 15 minutes that I will spend with you to unpack a very, very important aspect. And I think none of you are here, none of you here, if you do not have the concern. We all are here in this room to understand what close to your heart, what close to my heart, that the two nuclear powers coming head to head for the last 20 years, it happened twice. But for the last 76 years, there's never been a peace between India and Pakistan. And we have come to many, many occasions where the nuclear war has always been become the flashpoint. And I think it is very important for us to understand what it is, what is the root cause. And with the permission of my High Commissioner, especially from the Hassan Saab, that I like to indulge into a very, very important few points, which is the root cause. And I think we need to get into the bottom of it to understand what drives these two nations, those who have so much in common to celebrate than to divide, what it is that get them to the eyeball-to-eyeball confrontation. And it has been getting it to so close. In 1999, it was almost a nuclear war. Then it's become few weeks ago, we had also a confrontation which could have been easily triggered into the nuclear war. So I think we need to understand. So what I've done, I create a small presentation, and I think it is very important for us, all of us used to understand. And once you understand the root cause, it's very easy for you to understand where this problem is coming from. So I'm going to go with some slides, few slides, and those slides are going to be the eye-opener, many of you, because the narrative that has been run into the diplomatic corridors and in academia and university is quite different to the reality. So I'm going to unpack, and there is nothing, because we live in the where is a and disinformation is the business of the day. Lot of right information is not coming to us. And I have written a book which I have published here, and that is authenticated, and nothing is on this slide which is cannot be verified. It's 100% verifiable. Every slide is here is verifiable and it's authenticated. So spend few minutes with me to understand the root cause. Once you understand the root cause and you understand where it's coming from, it'll be easy for you to make your own mind, because of course most of you are a journalist and most of you will have your own thinking. And of course I invite you to get research on the topic. As you can see, right, what you have in front of you is a unified map of India, Pakistan, and that is what we can see in sign. Of course, you see the boundaries all around. My dear friend has changed it because I wanted to show more of the colorful. But anyway, this is what the Indian Pakistan. The next slide what I'm going to show is the root cause overview, the historical and current future, and the future. What it is if we do not do anything from South African perspective, what is going to happen? The proxies war. Then, of course, moving forward, what it is. So what you have in front of this slide, it tells you that at the time before even the Mughals come and the Ottoman empires, the offshoot of the Ottoman Empire come to Southeast Asia, there was in the Indian Pakistan, that region, there was a 560 princely states, and you can see the names. If you want the slide, I can send it to you. What happened the next is the fall of Mughal Empire and the rise of the Maratha Empire, how it start getting the reshaping. Then the British arrived. When the British arrived, that's what it is, the shape of the Indian Pakistan, but that princely state is stayed in their Indian Pakistan. Now, this is a very unique map that tells you the density of the Muslim. When you see the green, that's where the Muslims are, and there's a lighter green, where it's less than 50%, and of course the lighter yellowish or the lighter amber, it tells you the less than 50% of the population, the Muslims. Now, when we talk about the British India, what happened in the 1947, after the return of Mahatma Gandhi and the Nehru started what we call it the SALT campaign, Chodo India, the Quit India campaign. And then, of course, the British, after the liquidation, they start looking at the liquidation of the British Empire in the Southeast Asia and the Asia as well. In the South Asia, they wanted to liquidate and they move out from there. Reason was many reasons. One of them was the First World War and Second World War. They could not overstretch themselves to be in control. So what they say that we're going to leave, but there will be some sort of a different composite. It's not going to be back into the hand of the Mughals. It is going to be different composite. So there is a very famous documents that I like to share with you. There is a two documents. It's called a Indian Act of Independence, 1935, and then it was revised in 1947. What it is, it tells you how does the region will be divided. All the Muslim populated area will become Pakistan, and the populated area will become the Hindustan. And of course, and that's where is the problem start, because the provinces and the territory was not divided. So now when the 1947, at the time of the 1947, this is the way the disintegration of the whole region happened. All the red color you can see, that's become automatically the Indian side. And then, of course, you have East Pakistan and West Pakistan, as you can see through the map. But it is very unjustified map. If you look at it, the spread of the Muslim was all around. It wasn't where is the Pakistan, and according to the British, the division happened. This is, it was actually the map. And this is what according to the Indian independence, the Indian Pakistan was split, as you can see, the Bangladesh and the Pakistan. Now, the next slide will lead you into the most important part. Where is Kashmir? A lot of people will ask, where is the Kashmir? Some people do not know. Kashmir is not something small. Kashmir is 86,000 square kilometer radius. It's three times the size of Belgium or England. It's a big 14 million people live there under the Indian occupied occupation. And as you can see, between the Indian Pakistan, that's where is the Kashmir is. Now, why we are here, of course, we are all concerned about the well-being and the peace of the region, because most of us Indian origin, if not, we are South African, and South African are by nature are the human rights champions. So it affects us. And Nelson Mandela has said, all of us remain concerned. The issue of Jammu and Kashmir be resolved should be resolved through the peaceful negotiation and should be willing to lend our strength. And we have to we have the resolution of this matter. Nelson Mandela said this inaugural speech in the non-aligned movement in 1998 in Durban. So the reason we are here, we want to leave the legacy. We want to leave the wishes. We wanted to follow the steps of Nelson Mandela and rather Oliver Tambo, that the Kashmir was in his mind. And if he was still alive, I'm sure we should have seen much more peace in Kashmir. Now, this is the short history, brief history from the 1354 all the way to the 1947. I don't want to go and explain every steps, but I'm sure it's for your own research. Now, that's where is my most important point is. A lot of people say what it is there in Kashmir that the India and Pakistan so hotly contesting. Yes, Pakistan, because of the contiguity, and according to the Act of Indian Independence of 1935 and 1947, it's supposed to be the Pakistan, but doesn't matter. It was also contiguously, it was on geographically located to the close to the Pakistan. 90% of the population was Muslim. And of course, the act says if there is a majority are Muslim, it should be Pakistan. But it was not awarded by the Red Club, what we call the Boundary Commission. The Sir Radcliffe did not award Pakistan. He left it into the hand of the Maharaja. And that's where is the bone of contention and the starting of the conflict start. Now, I like to point out, if you see the Kashmir here, a lot of people ask what it is for the India, that India is hanging on and going for all the problems here. If you can see here, India is surrounded with the sea all around. On the top, you see it's here is the China. And the only way the India can connect from here to Southeast Asia is through the Kashmir region. So the landlocked otherwise will not be allowed, not be able to. You can see the Wakhan border between from the Afghanistan, see small tail here, but that is where the India most important, that we call it a part that is stepping stone to get into the Southeast Asia. That's what is the most important for Indian as a strategic location to be holding on to the Kashmir region. Okay, now India have a claim that the Kashmir was given or was the instrument accession was signed by the Maharaja Hari Singh. And that's the reason India have a legitimate right. That's what most of the people sitting here will believe that's the Indian narrative, but that is not, that's not the correct narrative. I'll show you the next slide. The next slide is, that is the instrument of accession. I'm sure we got an advocate and many attorneys sitting in the room. Anybody will see this. You can see it's the fill in the blanks, Jammu and Kashmir. That is the Maharaja Hari Singh name. There is a, as you can see, deletion, and there is a date has been changed. This document is not valid in any court of law. And when India make a claim that this is the document that he was signed, it taken to the International Court of Justice, and it was thrown back because this is not the legitimate document that anybody can accept because it is not a small piece. I'd like to welcome Deputy Minister Ganif Hendrik. Assalamu alaikum, Minister. How alaikum? Welcome to the presentation. So this is the document that the British maintain that they have a right to the Kashmir through this instrument of accession, which you can see is deletion. It look like a fill up the blanks, and it is not. So now the Indian claim it's not legitimate onto the territory of Kashmir. Now the next slide, when the Indians landed on the 27th of October into the territories of Kashmir, the war break out between India and Pakistan because Pakistan said you have no right. It's an independent state. It's supposed to be Pakistan, but doesn't matter. But you cannot send your forces. Where the fight started, the first war between India and Pakistan was fought on the occasion in 19. Now, Nehru took. Nehru took the case as a complaint to the United Nations in 1947, 1948, that the Pakistan has invaded into the territories and it is an illegitimate part of India and we need some resolution. India thought that he had the whole world behind, along with Edwina Mountbatten and Lord Mountbatten and many other people. But he got the surprise when the United Nations issue, the slide, next slide will tell you, you can see the disappointment on his face that what the United Nations resolution was, and this is a very clear indication of United Nations. I put the two of the stipulation, and that is the 1940 resolution 47 of the 1948 S26, which says neither the India nor Pakistan have the rightfulness onto the territory of Kashmir. The Kashmir issue must be decided through free and fair plebiscite. Nehru and our the first Governor General Jinnah, Mr. Jinnah, they both signed on the treaty, and this resolution was adopted into the United Nations. So this is the false narrative that has been run into South Africa that there is no resolution. This is the resolution. After that, 28 more resolution has come to reinforce this resolution that the issue of Jammu and Kashmir must be decided through the free and fair plebiscite. India accepted it, but they've been circumventing. In 1954, they changed their own constitution. They say you do not need a referendum to decide where you want to be. I'll give you autonomous status because we changed the constitution through the 360, 370, 75, 35A, that you can have the territory, you can have the parliament, you can have the currency, but the army will belong to us, your telecommunication belong to us, and monetary fiscal will belong to us. You can have the territory. But in 2019, they unilaterally revoked that. And they said it is no longer the part of international dispute. Is the North, it is a autonomous state. It is become a part of the Indian Union. So that is the resolution. You can go and check as a point. Now, that's going into the more detail. Where is the problem is that you can see a sky chin, which India will not talk to you about it. I can tell you. In the 1962, there was a territorial dispute. There's still a lot of territorial dispute on this border between China and India. This is the big chunk of the Kashmir was lost to the China, which was Chinese take it. India don't discuss this matter on the international fora because most of that was taken to by the Chinese. Sorry, I just want to go back. So that is a part, that is a Chinese part of the Kashmir. That is the Indian part of the Kashmir. This is the part of the Kashmir because Pakistan thought the Jammu and Kashmir, the whole territory, they wanted to be independent. But when the Indian forces landed here in Srinagar in 1947, Pakistan, the tribal force start getting involved into the civil war, and that's what we call it Azad Kashmir. So a small strip around here, that is our Kashmir, that we call it Jammu and Kashmir. They have parliament, they have their own flag and everything here, and that is a big chunk. That is where the Kashmir, and it's a highly militarized zone. Over 1 million soldiers stationed there. Every 50 meters, there is a one soldier. Every house, there is a one. Over 100,000 people have been killed. And that is what is the root cause for the last 76 years that we see the war after war. And that's what the dispute is here. Now, what I want to do, and the next slide is very important. India for the last 76 years has been very belligerent, very hostile toward the neighbor, not with Pakistan only, Nepal, Bhutan, and many other places. Now, I want to draw your attention to the historical false flag operation. I want you to please take a snapshot. And in 1971, there was a hijacking happen, and they say it was Pakistan. The Ganga plane was hijacked, and they blame Pakistan because they want to stop Pakistan flights over the airspace. They banned the airspace traveling. So they were preparing the war for 1971. That was where the dissection of Pakistan and East Pakistan happened. So the prelude was the fast flag operation 1970. I want to fast forward. Maqbul Bhatt was hanged. One of the political leaders, they say he was a Pakistani operator into the India. He has to be hanged because it was a political policy to make sure the Indira Gandhi win the election. Now, fast forward 2000 in the March on the 20th in the March 2000, Chhattisgarh 36 were killed. It was the same day when Bill Clinton landed with a peace plan. Because remember, the 1999, there was a Kargil war, and Bill Clinton mediated. Now, he's coming for a peace plan. He wants to negotiate the deal. And there was a 36 was killed. And straight away, the blame was Pakistan has targeted, and they are terrorists. They have crossed the border and killed 36 people. Now, in 2001, they created another drama, and they called the parliament was attacked. I'm sure everybody remember the parliament attack. They wanted to make look like the war on terrorism. We also the victim, and we should be also treated as the victim, and we should be also have a right to attack Pakistan. So they wanted to make 9/11 of India. Now, Nadimark, massacre, Palwana attack, 2003 massacre, resulted in killing of 24 Kashmiri Pandits, which is also when the United Nations want to move the resolution toward the plebiscite. That was happen again. Then in Pulwama attack, Pulwama where the Balakot episode 2019, 2019 the 24. Some of I can't remember how many, but there was like a 20 or 24 of the Indian soldier were killed in one of the truck blast happened, and straight away they say it is from the across the border, the terrorism coming from there, and they attacked Balakot, and of course in retaliation, Pakistan shot down, and the tea became fantastic. I'm sure everybody remember that. Now, Palgam, move forward. On the 22nd of April, the attack happened. The we call it Palgam. Palgam, 24 tourist was die in the Indian administrative Kashmir. What happened? A day before, the vice president of the USA landed. Straight away, the same drama, what happened 20 years ago, what happened 1971, what happened when the Bill Clinton visit. Now, the deputy president visiting to the India, and they cause again fast track operation without any justification, with any evidence. And then, of course, I'm sure you know what happened on the 8 and 9 when the India attack. I want to leave it that to our commissioner, our Pakistan acting commissioner, to explain to you what and how, and he will frame all the things. So what I'm trying to explain to you that India have been using the fast flag operation to justify aggression against Pakistan. It is always in Kashmir because they want to use the Kashmir as the scapegoat so they can cause a war and they can neutralize. Now, at the moment, if you know how many houses they have been killed, has been completely demolished, and what is going on in the Kashmir at the moment, you don't need to know because it's sad story. It's worse than 10 times worse than what's happening in Palestine. Now, aqua politics. That's the important part. Pakistan is agriculture country. At the time of the division, it was already negotiated. The Pakistan rivers which is have the headwater, the headwork start from the Kashmir should be remain unobstructed. As you can see, the Pakistan, all the famous Satluj, Ravi, Indus, Jhelum, Chenab, all the headwork start from and that you can see the dams. The next slide will tell you more dramatic thing. There's the black spots, as you can see, all the black spots here. Can you see from India the water going to the Satluj? They have built 59 dams, diverting all the water under the name that we have more need than the Pakistan. And Pakistan, basically an agrarian society, is a culture-based economy, and they're cutting the water. Now, what happened? First, in 2019, when the Palwana attack happened, they say we're revoking because they use a pretext. They revoke the Article 370. Now, in this episode here, in 2025, in the May, they say because of this attack, we are revoking the Indus Treaty, which is being governed by the Code of Arbitration, and also the World Bank, and also the United Nations. They say unilaterally, we're going to actually take away the treaty. We're not going to allow Pakistan to have the water. So that is an act of war. Now, many of you might not know, and I just put it outside, not as despised, but also a lot of people say, yes, we support India because India done a lot for South Africa and so on and on. That's a bit to be justified at some point in time. But Pakistan done a lot during the time of apartheid, but not many people know about it. This is the city where you have already a municipal sign saying South African, European are not welcome in Karachi in this park as a solidarity. And this is 1960s. We're talking about it. In 1961, United Nations, Pakistan introduced the oil embargo on South Africa. Pakistan was the first country to bring the passport was not allowed to be used. So we have done equal, maybe more than India, the solidarity, but it's not been talking about it. And I think I just wanted to brief you as this opportunity at this time to explain to you. Now, that's another very, very important root cause of the problem, that India is not fighting the conventional war on the borders, but they have created what we call it a proxy war. And I will show you the few slides next to one, as you can see how many places the war is actually has been fought. Now, I will be finishing very fast. This is the Afghanistan map, and this is the map which shows you actually they have only few thousand people few thousand people in Afghanistan, but they got the 4 of the embassies there. Then they have there in Iran only, I think, less than 11,000 people, and they have 4 of the actually their embassies there, fighting the proxy war. This is Indian spy caught in Balochistan, and I think a lot of people will not know he's still in the custody of Pakistan. India has gone to the ICG to ask him to release. He is the naval commander, was caught into the terrorism through the proxy war into the Balochistan, funding the proxy war. Now, in South Africa, 1.5 million Indian, and we have 3 embassies, does not justify why you have in Afghanistan and Iran, many of them. I'm finishing some of the letter from Desmond Tutu. This is the beauty of Kashmir and how beautiful it looks. I'm almost end, and I just wanted to show you the beauty, how beautiful this place is and what's happening into the valley of Kashmir. And as you can see, there is a war. There is over 100,000 people have been killed. And this is the stats, over 100,000 people have been killed. And that's coming from Amnesty International and human rights bodies, not from me. And you can go and check. There is a main reports onto the local bodies. There is a standing court of the war crime on Prime Minister Modi in 2019 and 2000, verified by the DIRCO that there is a war crime case, and he has a standing warrant for arrest in the 2008 and 2023 as well. And this is the soft diplomacy they use. Every now and again, they send a bundle of the movies, Jai Hind, all politically motivated, which shows the Kashmir is a part of, and that has been revoked, and the apology letter has come from the SABC. So they have been using the influence from the South African government to change the opinion on the Kashmir in South Africa. And this is the book that my dissertation in Nelson Mandela have written the forward to this book. And the way forward, the South Africa to use its neutral position to assist in resolving United Nations, the oldest conflict that you have at the moment is 76 years gone, nothing happened. So we need to leave the legacy of Nelson Mandela to send from South Africa fact-finding mission, which need to go out there and check what's happening, the hardcore fact. And of course, we need some sort of an intervention from the South African government to hold a peaceful talk. And of course, the South African human rights bodies and civil societies to engage into the both sides of the Kashmir and both sides of India and Pakistan to see what is the way forward. And if there is a way forward, we should be, because we got our freedom. We fight for the freedom for 100 years. If it was not good for us to be under the oppression and apartheid, why it is good to be in Kashmir, or why the India and Pakistan must be unified? I think South Africa have a respect between the India and Pakistan as a neutral position. I think all of you have to play the role as we played from many other countries, the role to liberate South Africa. This is the high time that South Africa must do something to bring the peace. So we shouldn't go to the nuclear war. I thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Now I would like to invite our acting High Commissioner, Fawad Amjad Saab, to please come to the podium if you like to, or you like to use the mic there. And he will be explaining the current situation. He will give you the overview. And after that, Dr. Hassan will be taking question answer. Can I take a 1 moment after that to introduce Fatima Domingo, but that will be after the ambassador.
Honorable Deputy Minister for Development, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor for me to be present here on today's seminar organized by the civil society organizations. I would like to give you a brief overview of the developments which have taken place within our region in the last month or so. So over the past few weeks, South Asia had witnessed a marked escalation in tensions following the attack in Pahalgam on 22nd of April 2025. Without recourse to credible evidence or a transparent investigation, India blamed Pakistan for the attack, Among other actions, and against all legal norms, it decided to illegally hold the Indus Water Treaty in abeyance. This treaty, brokered with the painstaking diplomacy in 1960 under the auspices of the World Bank, has endured even during the times of conflict. It's not merely a technical instrument but a cornerstone of regional peace architecture. Pakistan conveyed its condolences following the Pahalgam attack and proposed an impartial and neutral investigation into the incident. This offer was regrettably disregarded by India. In choosing presumption over prudence, India precipitated a trajectory that culminated in its unprovoked attacks against Pakistan on 7th of May 2025. These acts of aggression, which included strikes on civilian targets, brought the region dangerously close to an open conflict. Confronted with the imperative to safeguard our sovereignty, Pakistan acted under Article 51 of the United Nations Charter. Our response on 10th of May 2025 was precise, proportionate, and strictly confined to military targets. It was not an act of escalation, but a calibrated demonstration of resolve. However, in the interest of regional peace, the government of Pakistan responded positively to the constructive engagements of our international partners and agreed to a ceasefire. We deeply value their role in this regard. At present, Pakistan is fully adhering to the ceasefire and also expects the government of India to do likewise. Ladies and gentlemen, the root cause of instability in the South Asia remains India's illegal occupation of Jammu and Kashmir. Pakistan's position on Jammu and Kashmir has been consistent and national law seek a peaceful, just resolution of this dispute in accordance with the UNSC resolutions and the aspirations. In this regard, recognize and appreciate the support extended by our international partners. India's unilateral move to hold the Indus Water Treaty in abeyance has weaponized water resources for political leverage and is a flagrant contravention of international law. The treaty contains no provision permitting unilateral action of this nature. The disruption of water flow not only endangers livelihoods but also heightens the risk of a prolonged asymmetric conflict over basic necessity. Even against the backdrop of a ceasefire, India's messaging continues to reflect a posture of rigidity and confrontation. Pakistan, in contrast, has exercised restraint and responsibility. However, continued provocation may compel Pakistan to revisit its strategic calculus. For years, India has been maligning and targeting Pakistan in the context of terrorism. In that backdrop, I take this opportunity to reaffirm Pakistan's resolute commitment to fight against terrorism. Pakistan has played a key role in the global fight against terrorism and rendered unprecedented sacrifices in this endeavor. Ladies and gentlemen, Pakistan itself has been a victim of terrorism, including state-sponsored terrorism carried out by India through different militant organizations in Balochistan. Our law enforcement agencies' detailed investigations have found that several targeted assassinations on our soil follow a pattern of broader assassination campaign orchestrated by the Indian intelligence agencies in other countries, including United States and Canada. In addition, Pakistan is confronted with the serious threat of terrorism posed by the Al-Qaeda and TTP. We are part of the international efforts to thwart the activities of these organizations. Ladies and gentlemen, Pakistan remains committed to peaceful coexistence and continues to advocate dialogue over discord. Our enduring hope is for a comprehensive, sustained engagement with India to resolve all outstanding issues, most critically the dispute over Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Before I finish, I just want to leave 2-3 questions for you. As you might be aware that India portrays itself as the biggest democracy in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, is there any other example where a democracy has attacked another democracy? Where any other example where a democracy has oppressed its own minorities? And does any other democracy violates bilateral and international agreements? without following the procedures and sovereignty? And is there any other democracy which has violated sovereignty of its neighbors? So these are the questions which I leave for you to ponder. I thank you all for coming today and attending this seminar, especially the Honorable Deputy Minister for Social Development. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Fahad Jassan. Beautiful, eloquently, you put your case, and I'm sure you leave a lot of questions to be answered by many people sitting in this room. I'd like to invite my sister for a brief comment as a solidarity between, from South Africa to the people of our region. Fatma.
Jazakallah khairan. I'll try and keep it as brief as possible. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. So I don't want to go too much into detail, but as we know, Kashmir was sold to the British in the 1800s. In this way, India had to affirm to the British supremacy long before the partition and creation of Pakistan and India. But now I want to go to current Kashmir. Kashmir is still the playground of the military-industrial complex, the super rich, the deceptive narrative of history, which the military-industrial complex tells the same lies over and over again. And I just want to reaffirm what our previous speaker said about the lie that's told about India being the largest democracy in the world. The other lie is that Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East. So these are the twin occupations. And what we do know is that India is Kashmir, is the most militarized zone in the world with 1 million troops. So I also want to speak about regarding my representation on behalf of the South African Kashmir Action Group Women's Forum. I am pleased and honored to be an ambassador and to speak on behalf of the voiceless women and children in Kashmir. As we know, it is a strong sunnah to defend the honor and dignity of women. Evidence thereof is when the Creator says that on the day of judgment, the girl child will be called and asked for which crime she was killed. Also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen the wombs of women to carry his creation. In fact, he's named the womb after his attribute of mercy, Raham, which and we see how the wombs of the women are being violated in the Muslim Ummah. We can talk about Bosnia, Herzegovina, Kuna and Poshpura in 1991, the incident of mass rape on the 23rd of February 1991, when a unit of forces raped 23 to 100 women. And then we look at international law. The United Nations Security Council Resolution 1325 on Women, Peace and Security, adopted unanimously by the United Nations as protection by all parties in conflict areas to fully respect the international law applicable to the rights and protection of women and girls. This has not been implemented. We can see it in Palestine, we see it in Kashmir. And this is just an ongoing, massacres of the women in Kashmir, in Palestine, all over the world. And I stand in solidarity, and I ask everybody to please stand in solidarity with our brothers and sisters in Kashmir. And once again, I want to thank Brother Salman for giving me the opportunity to speak on behalf of the South African Kashmir Action Group Women's Forum. Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much, Baji Fatima, and your passion and your love for the humanity, and especially for the women. It's very listening, and we thank you for your continued support. And we have our minister, our comrade, and my mentor and role model, Ganif Hendrik, and it will be an opportunity for us to get his some solidarity message and listen to his always a wise advice onto the conflict that we, splitting the beautiful people of India and Pakistan. Assalamu alaikum, and hand it over to you, sir.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Today, India was in attendance in Parliament and tried to justify the atrocities against Pakistan. I have a member of Parliament, Advocate Shamima Saleh, who's a member of the International Relations Committee, and she had an opportunity to speak. She congratulated the Pakistan Army for their victory, and she also rebutted the claims of India that their actions were justified. So Al-Jama, as a political party, we are very vigilant about the rights, especially of the Kashmir people. And we would like to thank Sister Fatima for being in the forefront to advance the South African, the Kashmir cause in South Africa. As you know, South Africa had a lot of options to implement the promise that President Mandela made when it came to Palestine. And South Africa chose to use legal prescripts instead of closing down embassies and doing other things. It decided to go to the International Court of Justice, and quietly for 2 years, we prepared a very strong case and went to the International Court of Justice and also to the International Criminal Court. We are aware of the fact that there are many United Nations resolutions with regard to Kashmir and also the involvement of Pakistan and India. And I'm not sure whether any effort has been made to also go to the International Court of Justice and the International Criminal Court with regard to the issues around Kashmir. We heard from our leader, Salman Khan, that it was President Mandela's wish to have a conference, a peace conference in South Africa around Kashmir. And also to use its neutral position. So I'm in a difficult position as one of the members of the 10-party forum of leaders in the government of national unity. I've got to follow government policy. So we have to address this particular issue from a neutral position. And I would like to hear some comments on the success of any attempts to use legal prescripts and to use the International Court of Justice and the International Criminal Court, because all our efforts in the United Nations has been a waste of time because of the veto powers that America has. And we know each time an American president or a vice president visits India, then they try and they get up to all their tricks, which they did recently. But as a political party, now I'm not speaking as a deputy minister of social development, as a president of Al Jamaa, we support Fatima and the South African Kashmir Action Group, and we would like to collaborate in some way and use our office in Parliament to advance the cause of Kashmir, because while we don't really agree with President Mandela to have a peace conference, there will never be peace between Pakistan and India. The only way is to go to the International Court of Justice, the International Criminal Court, and that is where I think South Africa must assist those of you who are interested to pursue that route. I'm very happy that our Member of Parliament could rebut the attempts of India to gain the favor of South Africa today in Parliament. Shukran, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah. Thank you, Minister, as wise, as eloquent, and always you speak the truth, and not from today, from many years. You are was a leading fighter for the freedom for South Africa, and I'm sure we all required your hand, not only in Palestine but in Kashmir as well. Now the floor is open for a general question answers and any comment anybody would like to add. Keep it brief and precise because there's a lot of people here, and then we have our Dr. Hassan will be jointly answering the questions with our acting ambassador here as well. So please raise your hand. And I see one hand has been raised, but keep it brief. Can I start for the lady and Umama from the Mail and Guardian? We'll move to the mic as well. Thank you. You have the mic? Where is the other moving mic? Okay, no problem.
Assalamu alaikum. We here talk about. Can I hear? Okay. Oh, sorry. I'm trying to face Ambassador. But my question was, we hear talks about what South Africa should be holding Kashmir talks. Has there been any kind of conversation so far since then with the South African government? Thank you.
Thank you so much for your question. So, as the minister has said, that the South African government, of course, has a neutral stance on the issue of Kashmir, and they have always said that it should be done through dialogue and through diplomacy, but between the two countries, that is Pakistan and India. And as my colleague has said, that Pakistan is ready to do dialogue with India on all outstanding issues, including the issue of Jammu and Kashmir. However, it is the Indian side that is not ready for that dialogue, and they have been avoiding it. So, in terms of South Africa, their position has been neutral, but they always encourage both parties to resolve this issue through dialogue and diplomacy.
Thank you. You have a follow-up? Quick.
Have you actually reached out to the South African government?
I mean, we have not, in terms of getting involved into this issue, but we always welcome any kind of mediation from the friendly countries, and where the friendly countries can ask of course, because Pakistan is ready for dialogue. So if South Africa would like to, I mean, they have always said to us that it should be resolved through dialogue and diplomacy. if they can also reach out to the other party as well, and they can ask them to start work on this issue. So we would welcome that, definitely.
Thank you very much, Umama. Question. In the past, for the last 27 years, I've been at the forefront of the Kashmir peace talks. I have approached to DIRCO and many other departments. They are very willing to actually negotiate. And they said they will be honored. South African government has said they will be honored to negotiate and they will be humbled to negotiate something or set up the dialogues. In 2019, when we went for the war crime case, Anil Suklal called and we have a discussion. He said, if there is an invitation coming from India, we will move. Pakistan just mentioned many times, but India has not. Then in 2023, exactly the same thing happened. When the issue of the human rights fact-finding mission supposed to go, and also the Hawks want to go and investigate the war crime because there was a case and warrant of arrest on a Prime Minister Modi. Indian government refused the visa for our investigation. So I want to put on a record, the Indian government refused the visas of South African investigating body. You say this is a bilateral issue and will not allow you to go to the Indian occupied Kashmir. I'll take it to the Inad by the mic. Just after that. Anybody after that? Sorry.
Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. As far as South Africa is concerned, and I know we have a situation where South Africa has got a position of non-alignment as far as the India-Pakistan conflict is concerned. But some of the observations that we've made through the media over a period of time is there is a disconnect in the prominence that South Africa actually gives to Kashmir, to Pakistan, and to India. Now, we know India for obvious reasons. India, a member of BRICS, and South Africa has got an association with BRICS as well. But the key issue here is looking at South Africa's position as far as Palestine is concerned, what would stop South Africa from taking the same steps against India? Because we are talking about two occupations. The Indian occupation of Kashmir is even an older occupation than the occupation of Palestine. Both these occupiers mirror each other in their occupations in terms of the crimes that they have committed against humanity. And the deputy minister spoke about legal challenges. There have been legal challenges here in South Africa, the Modi files, and I'm sure Ziad sitting here right next to me, the Modi files in terms of crimes against humanity as well. So what I'm saying is there is this disconnect, and this message needs to go out louder, clearer, and stronger. And that includes not only government, it includes media, it includes the activist community, it includes humanitarians in this country. And this is the reason why I'm saying is Pakistan, Kashmir needs to get a lot more prominence in this country. We know we have a Zionist lobby that is operating in this country very, very strongly. The BJP RSS lobby is mirroring the Zionist lobby in each and every way to obviously get influence. And the last thing we need in this country is one false flag operation. And we will see what is happening in the UK, Indians versus Pakistanis, and then you're going to have a polarized society fighting against each other.
Thank you. It wasn't a question, was a statement. Thank you very much. I'll come back to that. Mr. Fatima and Naeem. After Naeem, then Fatima, and then Jihad.
I want to make a question. I think, firstly, we're all aware of India's stance of non-negotiation. They're not willing to come to the negotiation table. This has been the same stance since 1947. So it's no use debating that. What is our next step? That's the first thing. Secondly is, I think we've had many conferences on Kashmir. I've attended about 4 or 5 in the last 4 or 5 years. But once the actual conference or the seminar is over, nothing actually is taking place on the ground. If you look at the South African government, Inayat made a statement with regards to why are we not doing the same for Kashmir. But are our government leaders educated with regards to the Kashmir issue, like they educated on the issue of Palestine. I don't think we as a committee or a seminar, we need to meet with government and educate them, because the Southern government, although they have a neutral stance on the issue of non-alignment with the India on the Kashmir issue, I think if they educated well enough on this, we can have another case at the ICJ. And I think this is the only way forward, because I think India coming to the negotiating table, I think is not going to happen. So I think it's important we educate, because I see the same faces at most of the seminars. We need to educate the general masses out there. I mean, the Muslim masses. I was looking at the war now between India and Pakistan. Many of the local Muslim people were supporting India in this war, because they're uneducated of what the Kashmir issue is about. So I think it's important we need to do education, one, and two is we need to see what is the next step for Pakistan side, because right now I think India is not going to come to negotiate.
Thank you. Would you like to respond, Doc?
You're absolutely right. India is not going to come onto the negotiating table. So in terms of Pakistan, look, we have been, of course, raising the issue of Kashmir. We have been raising it in every forum. We've been providing it moral and our diplomatic support to the issue. And Pakistan has raised this issue on every forum, human rights forum, on the multilateral forums. And we have become the voice of the Kashmiri people. And this is exactly that what we are trying to do. I think it's now the international community that now also needs to push or urge India that this way of human rights violations, of oppressing the people's right to self-determination, this cannot continue. This is the 21st century now. And now they need to add their voice to the Pakistan voice as well, raising the issue of Kashmir. And I think if the international pressure or the international community can urge the Indians onto the table to have a dialogue on it with Pakistan and to resolve this issue through dialogue and diplomacy, then we can get somewhere. But of course, you are right that Indian side is not ready to negotiate.
To add one or two things. So with regards to your question regarding if we are aware oriented locators in within South Africa, so we regularly update them on the issues, and especially with issues and also with regards to the issue of Jammu and Kashmir. So our South African interlocutors, we hold regularly contact them and also update them on that. So with regards to like the seminars and the things, so basically we depend upon you guys also as members of the civil society. So you guys are our like eyes and ears also. And the purpose of this meeting is just the first purpose is to give you an understanding of the issues or to give you an overview of the recent developments. And the second thing is that you can propagate this information to whatever channels you guys have. So maybe some people have the electronic media, some have like the written channels available. So you are also a political leader. You are also an opinion leader. So you can play your role as well. So we depend upon you guys as well. And as the Deputy Minister has stated, so as our the Member of Parliament has very ably portrayed like her sentiments, and it needs a lot of courage to say something which is right on the spot. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Very briefly, one of the other projects we were working on as the South African Kashmir Action Group Women's Forum is the clemency and release of Dr. Afia Siddiqui. So I think that's also a very important project to bring to the agenda. I know it's not related to everything, but we did petition to Joe Biden, President of the United States last year, into September 2024 for clemency, because those charges were trumped up, and she's really an innocent individual that's been treated horrendously. We look at Julian Assange was even released and obviously gone to Australia, but that was from British. But I think Dr. Afia Siddiqui's case has to be revisited again, inshallah.
Thank you. Jadwe?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good evening to one and all and to the special guests. Also, it's an honor to be invited to this important meeting, this debriefing and also understanding the conflict in the Southeastern Asian region. Just my observations, more importantly in terms of work that I've been doing, not in terms of issues that are more important over the other. I think the Kashmir situation is just as important as the occupation in occupied Palestine. I think from the question from the Deputy Minister about the utilization of legal, we need to understand that these legal mechanisms that South Africa has implemented by going to the ICJ and the ICC, on the international stage, it is welcome by many countries. Even in my visits to the Middle East and engagements with many different organizations, it's extremely welcome. But that mechanism of the ICJ and the ICC works within a multilateral system of the United Nations, knowing that the ICJ is the apex court of the United Nations, and any resolutions, provisional measures, or anything of that nature has to be implemented by the UN Security Council. And we're going to get those blockages from those imperial powers like the United States and a lot of politicking between Russia, the US, controlling different interests and not necessarily fighting those fundamental rights or protecting those fundamental rights that need to be protected when it comes to the issue of Palestine and so forth. Would it be the situation when it comes to Kashmir? So we need to create other avenues, other channels of accountability. These channels of accountability needs to be within domestic jurisdictions, between countries, holding those to account that are committing these atrocities. Atrocities like war crimes, crimes against humanity, violations, mass rape, anything that relates to fundamental violation of human rights. We can't place only our emphasis on a multilateral system that we know is being controlled, and we're not going to get the benefits out of it because the UN Security Council is not going to implement those resolutions or enforce those resolutions. For instance, we have a genocide in real time happening in Gaza, yet there's no military intervention to stop Israel from its atrocities. I think Brother Inayat made an important point that it's one in the same mirror when you look at India's occupation and you look at Israel's occupation. We need to mobilize the global south. We need to mobilize civil society. And we also have to ask, well, how can we strengthen our internal bodies to make these issues even more alert, more aware? We're starting to see now in New York, London, European capitals, even in the UK Parliament, them talking about the genocide in Gaza. It had to take how many thousands of lives before this discussion actually started. And I'm not seeing that yet. You know, so one thing is about speaking about it in dialogues, but it needs to be intensified on a system, not only on the international stage, but also mobilizing our countries, mobilizing our law enforcement agencies to hold those to account. Because once they know that they're going to be held accountable for those crimes that they're committing, we're going to start closing the net on them. And that will initiate some kind of accountability that I think we need to fight for human rights and for justice for all, inshallah.
Thank you. I totally agree with you. And snapshot on the human rights mechanism is mechanism, and I'd like to Was there is any ICG case before the apartheid was dismantled? No. I sit at the foot of my beloved Uncle Kathy before he passed away, and I asked him, what is your advice to the people of Kashmir? He said, look, Salman, you can go to international community. The people to people contact is important. And he gave me the lesson, and that is the most important one. He said the NC had the 5 pillar of struggle: underground movement, mass mobilization, and he said the most effective was the international mobilization, the international solidarity, and the BDS. That is the only way we see the dismantling of powerful South African government that crumbled down, not by any ICG case or any other thing. It was people to people contact. It was the international solidarity and the international boycott which crumbled the powerful South Africa. So I think we, within the power of this room and the South African people, those are very passionate. I will plea and I will urge all of you to take active part, to play your role into the liberation of, because it wasn't good for South Africa to be oppressed. It is not good for anybody, whether it's Palestine, whether it's Uyghur, or whether it is the people of Kashmir. I'd like to ask on this occasion, my beloved auntie Zora Kadrada to say a few words of solidarity. I know there is a hand from Riaz Khan, and then I'll come to you just now. Thank you.
Thanks, Comrade Salman. Assalamu alaikum. Good evening to one and all, our honorable minister, your presence here. And our forefathers always stood for justice. All the years that they were there, they stood for justice, and they will stand in solidarity with countries that are occupied. And just one, with all due respect, Minister, if you can bring, just like we bring the Palestine issue to Parliament, I agree that the Kashmiri India issue is not well noted in Parliament. If you can, to bring the issue to Parliament and to invite Brother Salman and others, the High Commissioner, to the platform to Parliament, so we can also get the Kashmiri issue out there, because we stand in solidarity with any occupied country. Thank you.
Thank you. Very sound suggestion. Thank you. Yazway, coming to you.
Assalamu alaikum. I think one of the brothers mentioned the genocide in Palestine and no military intervention. What a shame on. The shame shouldn't just be on the Western powers. The shame should be on the Islamic world. That's the shame where it should start for. And that's where I think we need to start. This movement should go out to the OIC, the Organization of Islamic Countries. They should be the channel to start putting pressure on India, because we do know that Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, they're more, if I'm correct, they more side, in most instances they would side with India. And this is where the whole focus needs to be. I mean, had Saudi Arabia, UAE, Bahrain stepped up, Turkey stepped up with the pressure on Palestine and intervened militarily, the Western powers would have come to their knees and we would have had a resolution. You would have never had this genocide. I can assure you that, had Saudi Arabia said, we will fly in aid, and if you stop us, we will defend ourselves. If they had put that stance, the whole world would have then shaken up and say, you know what, we cannot allow this world war to have started. So the OIC needs to come to a because we must admit one thing, and we don't need to sweep this under the carpet, is that the role and the position of the West is to delete the Muslims off earth. That's bottom line. So if the Muslim countries are not aligned on the same page, we're going to be fighting a losing battle all our lives. So we need to start getting your next seminar, get the Saudi embassy here, get the UAE, get those people in here, and they must start understanding that they need to align what human rights. They need to align what the Holy Quran says, justice. If they cannot align with justice, no respect we can afford to them. So we need to get those countries here around this table, and they need to take the message to their so-called kings and tell them what the people and the position. Because if this word goes out we've seen students movements throughout the world, how they have been so vocal. They put their careers on the line. And this is what we need to do. Is we need the youth movements to go to the Saudi embassies in part of the world and demand them to wake up. They must wake up. And this is the message we need to get out. And it needs to be a spark that needs to start around the table here, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
And just lastly, I know the dinner is ready and everybody's overstretched. Tomorrow is a working day. Choose to become too over you and here we go. You.
Okay. Thank you, Chairperson. My name is Chapley. I'm an independent producer. I work with lots of big media in South Africa. But my question is very simple. Are they Indian citizens in Kashmir? And then if how many population in density? What are they doing? What is the theory behind if they are there in Kashmir?
Wasim okay, I'll that direction. I wanted to know, is it possible for Pakistan to join BRICS? And could it thus prove an ideal counterbalance to India's rather cozy relationship with South Africa, which somewhat prevents South Africa from taking more effective action against India vis-a-vis Kashmir? To me, it seems like India is straddling, or currently it's straddling between being part of the global South and also the pro-Western alliance. Wouldn't Pakistan therefore be a much more ideal addition to the global South through joining BRICS instead?
Thank you. Good question. Lost. If anybody else
Thank you very much. Thank you. My name is Hitani. As an adopted child of the High Commission, I do not ask questions, but just addition. 3 things to add to the engagement. This type, I want to challenge this sitting to say, this type of an approach, solidarity work that we are speaking of, it needs build up. For South African students to be shot at in your USA and other countries, there was a lot of, it didn't start in the 1960s. It started in the 80s when there was a lot of build-ups, when there was a lot of engagements, and a lot of fires that have been started in different places. As keep emphasizing when we gather this session, as much as instead of us gathering here, let us go to students in the university, take the doctor there, to those students, instigate them. They are the ones who march to union buildings to instigate the government that is informed about this that we are talking about here. We need to start outside of this. Now, secondly, is the question of ICJ and other approaches. I think as much as we have identified that the South African government is willing to partake in this issue, equally have taken a neutral position, and that there is the ICJ case against Palestine that submitted about a year ago, if I'm not mistaken. Urge to take another country to the ICJ. They may feel like, I'm speaking as South African, but the South African government may feel like now we are going to be presented as a paging entity that is going to be used by different countries to go and stroke through the ICJ. Now, that is the one that is supposed to report on a daily basis. That's the image that I feel that South Africa would run away from. It doesn't mean that we should drive away from this case. We should identify that has not acknowledged here that this is an international matter. As such, it is not an exclusively South African matter. The South African active can start a campaign in which that we feel that may be in a position to act better. My head was Canada. For instance, I'm just giving an example. There has been a number of issues there in the past few years, of which if Canada and urge them to be the one that take this case to the ICJ, no point that the matter has been instigated amongst us across the world. Matter was taken to the ICJ. Amongst other things, on the 7th, people were already on the street protesting about the Palestinian, the siege in Gaza. Today, if we speak about Kashmir, people will ask us, who is that? You understand? So there's a lot of questions. We've got a journalist that has got questions. If we have got a journalist that has got questions, we must be ashamed that are sitting here, that we're not written articles about this particular matter. We have not sent him an article to read about this matter. Next book last. The last point. Campaigns run when they have faces. Run when they have faces. We had the Palestinian campaign. Abu Ammar, Yasser Arafat was the face. Him the face of Marwan Barghouti. Today we've got the matter. He's not the official face, but he remains the face there too. A name that was mentioned, for instance, I'm making an example. There was the name of Kulbushan, Free Kulbushan. We ran a campaign to free Kulbushan. In the process, people are going to ask the questions, who's this Kulbushan? Then we get to the class.
I just want to follow up on your statement. If there are possibilities that we can have a documentary that perhaps we can play on the SABC, I believe with the deputy minister being here, it can be so that we can have a documentary so that we can be able to educate. But my question still remains. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And
So, on the question of you asked Indian citizens in Kashmir. So the first thing that we need to understand is that the territory of Kashmir, it's a disputed territory, and it's been illegally occupied by the Indian government and the Indian forces. And the population that is living over there is living under occupation, and they are being oppressed. So they are all Kashmiris over there, the population over there. What India has done, the illegal step that they has taken, is that they has revoked the special status of that territory in 2019. And now they are actively trying to change the demographics of that region by diluting the local population by bringing it, which is illegal. It's against any international norms. It's against the international norms. So that is basically the answer, that it's a disputed territory and the people living over there are Kashmiris, and they have a right to self-determination. They have a right to not to be oppressed and to be heard. On the second question of joining the BRICS, so Pakistan has expressed its interest, and we are actively following it up with the BRICS members. And of course, yes, we would like to join the BRICS forum. We would like to become part of the Global South as well, be a voice in that. Unfortunately, I mean, we have seen it with the other multilateral forums as well, that these forums get politicized because of one country. And of course, in this case, it's India. And we do not want to see that in case of BRICS. So yes, we would like to join it, and we have expressed interest as well.
if there is no further question, I'd like to conclude, and just like to say thank you to everybody joining us. And just a second.
So we have just a small media packet. It shows Pakistan's perspective. It has Pakistan's perspective on the current regional situation right now. in South Asia, the tensions between India and Pakistan. So it has some information on it, and we thought that it would be useful for everyone. So thank you.
Thank you very much. That pack that has been distributed now, please take it along with you, read, and if you need more information, please contact us. I'd like to say thank you very much for each and everybody. You are here not just because you is by accident. It was a calling. It was from the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the calling. This is the service to the humanity, a service to the community. I'd like to just conclude by saying one or two things, and then if you finish, because the food is ready and I'm standing in between. Intani, your mentioning of many things about the face. It's Abkin can only can tell you that there are many faces from Kashmir. It could be an ignorant. It could be you're not reading the news. When the young Burhan Wani was shot dead in 2016, we have Maqbul Bhatt. We have many faces. Jilani, who spent whole his life, more than Nelson Mandela, in a jail. There was a face of a Kashmir. Everybody know about it. Maybe you do not know. Many people in South Africa doesn't know because the mainstream doesn't print. On the killing of a Burhan Wani, in the funeral, it was a historical occasion. Over a 1.3 million people attended his funeral. I mean, I'm sure you don't know the name even what the Burhan Wani is. So, sometimes the ignorance is bliss. But if you search, you will find there are many faces from the Kashmir and they need your help. But this is not the Kashmir presentation. This is not the Kashmir forum. It is more of the debriefing on what concerns you, what concerned me. We do not want to be in a situation that we're looking at the nuclear war breakout, and Kashmir is the bone of contention in between. That's why we talk about Kashmir. But as Nelson Mandela said, to be free is merely not throwing your chain away. It is to enhance the other people's freedom and respect and advance the democracy. And I think this is the high time, the history in making, and India and Pakistan are beautiful people on both sides. As I said before, it's so much in common. It's so much in common to be celebrated than to divide us. And I call all of you to extend your hand to make sure there's two brothers and two countries come close and we can have a peaceful neighborhood and we thrive. Because as United Front in the South Asia, I think we are power to reckon with. I thank you and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.